And it's the main event, man. We got an American versus a Frenchman. We got Mr. Excuse my French, and Derrick Lewis versus Gamin, Ciryl Gane, and AJ, man. I just have to point it out first and foremost. How does Ciryl Gane open up as a minus 350 favorite against Derrick Lewis? Derrick Lewis is notoriously always kind of been an underdog in his fights. He's plus 260 when this line opened up this week. And I think it's because he relies on really one thing to get the job done, which is just knocking you out. That is like his one path to victory. You're very seldom do you see him winning a lot of decisions. And a matter of fact, he has 4 decision wins out of his 25 career victories. So if he's not knocking you out, I mean, there's really no other path to victory. He has 1 submission win under his belt. So how is Ciryl Gane such a big favorite in this fight, AJ?
I think Ciryl Gane's such a big favorite in this fight because everybody can see that Ciryl Gane is like the new style of heavyweight fighter. Big, light on his feet, hits very hard, very technical, but some would call him a little bit boring because he doesn't pull the trigger and would take a decision win. Yeah. Not necessarily, how fighters like to fight. Everybody wants to go for that kill. But I do think Ciryl Gane is by far the better fighter, more talented, more technically well-rounded. Whereas Derrick Lewis, you meet, let me put it like this. You meet these two on the street in a fight, Derrick Lewis all day long, he's always the favorite. You meet these two in a ring, Ciryl Gane, he's got the ring attitude, man. He's got that kind of class. He's got that style about him. He's a lot more fluid and a lot more elegant of a fighter. Whereas in the cage, adds a little bit more to that favorite. So that's why I see that line headed that way. What do you think?
I honestly, I don't know, man. I think Derrick Lewis, he's got way more experience. He's knocked out way better opponents than Ciryl Gane. I'm not going to say Ciryl Gane's a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, listen, he's 9-0. He's about to, if he can pull this one off, he could become a champion, 10-0 in the UFC, interim champion, so it doesn't really count, but a champion nonetheless, you know what I mean? But I think that, listen, man, I agree with you. Ciryl Gane is that new wave of what MMA is. The last time we saw somebody surging like this and got a title shot so young was Cain Velasquez, right? Who was also one of those hybrid heavyweights, right? But that's the danger in the heavyweight division, AJ. You don't have to be a good fighter to be successful in the heavyweight division. And what I mean by that is you don't have to be a technical striker, a technical wrestler. You don't have to be technical to win in heavyweight, because if you get hit one time by these big boys, you're probably going to go to sleep. That's generally how it goes. And for Derrick Lewis, we saw that against Curtis Blades. And let me just talk about this really quickly, AJ. Folks listening and watching and all of that good stuff, man, you probably have been seeing the Derrick Lewis knocking out Curtis Blades with the big uppercut. You're probably seeing that on loop time and time again. That's all they're showing. But I encourage you, if you haven't done so recently, actually watch the fight back, because Derrick Lewis was getting pieced up the entire fight until that knockout blow landed. Literally. Curtis Blades was having success on the feet, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of these fighters make against Derrick Lewis, is they get too comfortable and they get too confident and they say, oh, I can just stand in the pocket and trade with him. No, you cannot, because you're going to end up face down, ass up, just like Curtis Blades. Or Curtis Blades may have been just stiff like a board, rigor mortis style. You know what I'm saying? Either way, you can't be comfortable like that. And that is why I think Ciryl Gane is being favorited in this fight, is because he's not stupid. He's not going to sit there and just stay in the pocket and trade. He didn't do that against Volkov, man. He'd get in there, get out. Now, have we seen him get stumbled, hurt like Derrick Lewis does to basically every single one of his opponents? No, we haven't, man. And that's the question mark. That's why I think this fight is so interesting, because just like Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic, it only takes one, man. Derrick Lewis is a dude who even got a win over Ngannou. Now, was it a real fight? I mean, technically, yes, it was. Was it one of the most boring fights in UFC history? Of course it was. But with all that being said, AJ, I mean, do you kind of agree with my diagnosis of this? Derrick Lewis is the one-hitter quitter. He's got the different power. It's just different, when he hits you. But Ciryl Gane, man, he has so many different weapons. The Muay Thai, the kickboxing. I think that it would be the worst strategy in the world to try to go to the ground with Derrick Lewis, because if he just explodes, gets on top of you, you're not getting back up, dude. He's going to smash your face in. But with that being said, AJ, all that aside, I mean, Lewis has one way to win. Gane has a lot of ways to win. In a 5-round fight in a big cage, how do you see this fight playing out? Do you honestly think that the hype behind Ciryl Gane is warranted in this matchup?
Yeah, I think it's warranted. I mean, he's very young in the game, 9-0, like you said, and I definitely think Ciryl Gane has kind of the advantage as far as the momentum going forward. Derrick Lewis, in all of his most memorable fights, he's been getting whooped on and then lands one big shot, KO finish, and that's kind of the the style of the heavyweight division, except for now you got Ciryl Gane coming forward and a dude who's able to put combos together in and out, has good movement, good kicks, all this crazy stuff. Like you said, all these tools in his tool belt. The question I have for you, Derrick, is Ciryl Gane going to be willing to actually engage in the fight? Or is he going to sit there, Francis Ngannou, Derrick Lewis style, and kind of just wait for the other person to go? We saw in the Volkov fight, Ciryl Gane literally had another boring fight sitting there on his bicycle. Yeah, he edged out, and was it? And boring's a little rough. Boring's a little rough. Excuse that. He had a very technical decision win against Alexander Volkov, where he did what he needed to do, and by all means, you do the job, you get the win. Fair enough. But in this heavyweight style, you do the job enough. Is it really enough to not get KO'd, flatlined by Derrick Lewis, where all you need to do is just land a pinky on you and you're going to sleep? I don't know. Do you think he's going to be able to engage, or is he going to play that game like we see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson do, where he's in and out, in and out, in and out, not getting touched at all?
I think Ciryl Gane is going to implement a very similar game plan that he did against Alexander Volkov. Because if you have a good recollection of that fight, AJ, I encourage you to watch it back. My man, Ciryl Gane, he was the one walking forward. I think it was boring because Alexander Volkov wasn't willing to engage. Because every time he threw, he wasn't landing, and he was getting hit with 3 or 4 every time he missed, right? So I think that Volkov just said, I'm going to stop throwing. Gane is like, all right, well, I'll just kind of piece you up slowly and surely. And if you don't trade with me, then you're just going to lose this on points. And he did. I think it was crazy. It was crazy. It was like a 49-46, 50-45, something like that, right? So with Derrick Lewis, what I think about this fight is that it's going to be similar because Derrick Lewis will accept being on the back foot to look for the counter strike. He does that all the time, man. You look at it against the Volkov fight, he was losing 99% of the fight until he just knocks you out with one shot. That's it, you know what I mean? But that's because Volkov got reckless, got overconfident. I think Ciryl Gane has the capacity to get overconfident and to get knocked out, man. It would be a crazy thing to see, but I think he can definitely get probably a little overconfident because he did get clipped a couple times by Volkov. Didn't seem to affect him like that, but I don't think that... Listen, I don't think that Gane is going to make this a boring fight. I think Lewis is going to make it boring. You know what I mean? I think Gane is going to be in his face and say, let's do this. Because the other thing that you'd want to do to take away the power from a big puncher like that, right, is put him on the back foot because they're the most dangerous when they're walking forward, throwing these crazy bombs. Now, let's talk about Derrick Lewis because we're giving all this hype to Ciryl Gane. Derrick Lewis is an athlete, bro. He's an athlete. And we need to talk about his athleticism and his explosiveness because he does that possum thing where he acts like he gets hurt and then throws a bomb from hell over the top, right? Now, it's only 1, 2 at a time, but I mean, listen, do you think that people are underrating his athleticism? Do you think he's just this not do you think, but do you think people think he's just this plodding heavyweight who doesn't have good speed? He throws switch kicks and all types of craziness in the ring, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's got skill. Do you think that's vastly underrated aspect when people are like looking into this fight?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And that's actually my X factor for is that he's such an athlete, but he doesn't look like it. And the normal perception of him is, like you said, people think he's just this plotter, he's going to walk you down, kind of throw big shots, 1, 2 at a time, not really do much. But this dude is very talented. He'll throw these crazy kicks out of nowhere, head kicks, spinning kicks, doesn't matter. Derrick Lewis, he gets taken down. He doesn't even use technique to get up. He just pops up because he is very athletic about it. And that's what I think going into this fight is Derrick Lewis he's going to have to fight off the back foot. Regardless, it's going to happen. Ciryl Gane is going to be in and out, kind of bouncing around, maintaining the aggressive stance, whereas Derrick Lewis, he's going to have to fight off the back foot. But Lewis is very dangerous off the back foot because all he needs, like I said before, is a pinky. He wings you a couple times, gets you hurt, gets you feeling a certain kind of way, then it's a different style of fight, something we've never seen Gane really ever have to deal with before, at least in the MMA career. But I do think that Derrick Lewis's X factor is his athleticism because we very rarely see it, except when we see it for those like split 2 or 3 seconds, and then he's able to put people away. And I think that's where he's most dangerous. What do you think, Derrick?
Listen, I think that the athleticism is going to be one of the things that either decides whether this fight ends via stunning, crazy Curtis Blade style knockout or whether a position change happens, he gets on top of Gane and smashes his face in to finish him. I think we already know the athleticism of Gane. We say that's his whole thing is he's bouncy. He doesn't move like heavyweights move. He hits like a Mack truck, you know what I'm saying? But Lewis hits harder. He hits probably the hardest out of anybody in the division aside from Francis Ngannou, and even that's a debate right there. Like, we have to really debate that one. Now, this is the real X factor because you talked about one, but this is the real X factor here. This is in Houston. This is in Derrick Lewis's hometown. They're fighting at the Toyota Center. Now, do you think the pressure is on for Derrick Lewis to become the first Houston-born champion in the UFC, man. Like, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. We don't know if Ciryl Gane, how he's going to react to the big crowd, because he hasn't fought in one in the UFC in the brightest of lights. But I want to know, I feel like all of the pressure is on Derrick Lewis. I feel like there's very little pressure on Gane because he wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place, right? Like, everyone's like, huh? Ciryl Gane, interim title, 9-0? What? Really? But Derrick Lewis, he's already fought for a title. He already fought DC, and we saw how that turned out, man. It wasn't pretty for him. He got, just wrestled up for, all 5 rounds. But yeah, like I said, in this one, do you think that this is going to be a mitigating factor or just a big crux in this fight on how it turns out is the pressure that is on Derrick Lewis?
Yeah, I think the pressure is much more on Derrick Lewis for this one. He even said, he was like, when I get the win and we got to unify these belts, I don't want to do it in Houston. It kind of told me a little bit right there is what his mindset is. Because, yeah, sure, you got home field advantage. You don't have to do the traveling. You don't have to do all these, X's and O's and stuff. But it's a little bit more jarring whenever you have, your family watching, you got all your friends watching, everybody's going there, and all you can think of is like, man, is this dude going to knock me out in front of my homies? Like, that's always the worst case scenario. You get knocked out in front of your fam. So I definitely think the pressure is much more on Derrick Lewis on this one, especially because Ciryl Gane, he's kind of coming in that, like you said, doesn't really, or a lot of people don't really think he deserves it. That's kind of the best time to be fighting for the championship, especially if you have the high quality or you're a high caliber fighter like Ciryl Gane is. We saw Michael Bisping when he was able to step in on last minute notice against Luke Rockhold. He was able to get the win kind of because he almost didn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Ciryl Gane, the same thing. The pressure isn't there. The rounds in the ring aren't there the same as like they are for Derrick Lewis, whereas Ciryl Gane, the rounds are there for kickboxing and all his background-oriented stuff like that. But being 9-0 in the UFC seems almost a little undeserved for Ciryl Gane, and that's kind of when you're at your most dangerous as a fighter, when people don't really know you, don't really respect you yet, and you kind of can give a little bit X factor going forward. So with all that being said, I definitely think the pressure's on Derrick Lewis to do really well in this fight, especially it being his second time going for the championship in his hometown. It's a very daunting task he has in front of him. What do you think?
I'd have to agree with you, man. I just think that it's going to be tough because if he doesn't perform at his best, if he doesn't knock out Ciryl Gane, let's say he wins via unanimous decision, you're not going to get the credit that you deserve. You know what I mean? Even though he's the underdog, that people are going to be like, oh, I thought you were this knockout dude. I thought you were the knockout king. He is. He has 12 knockouts in the heavyweight division, most in UFC heavyweight history, right? But that's the thing right there is you have to win in this definitive fashion. You have to just knock this dude unconscious, because if you're able to knock out Travis Brown, Alex Volkov, Curtis Blades, but you couldn't knock out Ciryl Gane, how good is Ciryl Gane then? How good are you, Derrick Lewis? I don't know. But regardless, it probably all gets erased because the next conversation is, Lewis versus Ngannou number 2. You know what I mean? All that stuff will go away. Now, this is the last thing before we give our picks, AJ, because I do think this actually matters, and this mattered when it happened. In the press conference, we saw both of them. Dana White has the belt, and, here's Gane all laughing, dancing, awkward because he barely speaks English, you know what I mean? So probably doesn't even know half of what the hell is going on. And Derrick Lewis snatching the belt in his hometown, in Houston, holding it up, beating his chest, getting in Ciryl Gane's face, saying, I smelled fear on that man. And he probably ate a burger. He smelled like a burger and fear, you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, it's jokes. It's why we love Derrick Lewis. But, I mean, do you think that is foreshadowing, man? Do you think him snatching the belt like that, beating on his chest, is foreshadowing to the outcome of this fight?
Oh, 100%, Derrick. I'm actually glad you brought this up because I forgot about it until now, bro. But I was watching the Hot Boxing with Uncle Mike. Mm-hmm. Man, I don't think that's the actual name. Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. Let me give an actual shout out. When he was talking about Khabib, they were in there. Khabib was having they were having their interview and whatnot. Triple C's in there asking the good questions. And they were saying that you have to know your champ way before you're ever champ. Like Khabib was saying, I'd see anybody fight in the 155-pound division, and I know I could beat them. Same thing, man. You gotta know you're a champion before you actually become champion, because it's all about mindset. Mindset really matters in this game, especially when you're ballsy enough to snatch the belt from Dana White, hold it up, and had all the stuff that Derrick Lewis has. I think that's a huge advantage, man. When you believe in yourself, they talk all the shit about Luke Rockhold, see, believe, achieve, all that bullshit. But Derrick Lewis genuinely does believe that he can do this. And I think that's really another thing going into this. And I think it plays a huge matter, especially imagine you're standing up against some dude and, you did just eat a burger before and he smells like he says, "You smell like burgers and fear." And you're like, shit, I did just eat a burger, man. Like, fuck. Like, I wonder what this dude can smell on me. Next thing you know, he's grabbing the belt, holding up, beating his chest. That's a scary man right there who has a lot of confidence in himself. And when you're confident in yourself, man, it goes ages and it goes miles and miles in this game. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you, man. It was definitely telling, but I will say when he was pressing up on Ciryl Gane did not take one back step. He stood his ground, and that's what I was really looking for. I was like, listen, because he was like smiling, and sometimes it's when you're nervous. Sometimes you're just one of those type of guys where you just smile all the time. It's hard to be serious and mean mugging and shit, you know what I mean? But he didn't take not one back step, and Ciryl Gane is actually the bigger man. He's bigger than Derrick Lewis, so it goes to show like he is confident in his abilities, and he never says like, oh, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. He says this will be a good test for me. You know, we'll see how it goes. He said that against Volkov. He said it against Rosenstruck. He said it against Lewis, and he was right against Rosenstruck and Volkov. Let's see if he's right against Lewis. I will say this, even though I've seen sparring rounds or like light sparring rounds, don't get me wrong, between Gane and Ngannou, which are out there on the internet right now, you know, at the MMA Factory in Paris. I don't know if he can get past the Francis Ngannou test, man. I think that's going to be a tough ask right there, especially if Ngannou could wrestle now. It's going to be very tough. But all that aside, AJ, we did all that breakdown, man. Give me your pick on why. Who do you have for this interim heavyweight title championship right here?
Ooh. Now this one is another hard one, Derrick, and man, this one's going to be a fight for the ages, I believe, because I was going back and forth, man. I definitely think Gane is the better fighter in this one, but I'm going the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis, KO round 4. I think he's going to be able to touch up Gane in a way that he's never felt before, get him put to sleep, snoring on the mat. And I think it's going to be a pretty good win for Derrick Lewis. I'm calling it. We talked about it before. I don't know if you remember this, Derrick, but you asked me what one crazy prediction was in the future, and you asked me if I think Derrick Lewis would be champ coming in 2020, and I think this is his absolute moment to get it done. Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, KO round 4 going up against him. What do you think? Who you got and why?
Look at that. My man got a memory like an elephant, man. I could barely remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. But, hey, I'll take you up on that one, man. And if it happens, God damn it, I got to give you your points. I got to give you your credit. But I'll tell you what, man. The moment, I think it was Rosenstruck versus Ciryl Gane. I picked against Ciryl Gane. I picked Rosenstruck to win the fight. Ciryl Gane outclassed him. And I don't know if you remember this, AJ, but I said from that moment on, can't pick against Ciryl Gane. You can't do it, man. This dude is a freak of this sport, and he's an enigma. And if this is history, if we're going to look back on this in 2, 3, 4 years and say, like, damn, you remember when Gane was making his run? Like, nobody knew who he was, and he just came out of nowhere, kind of like Adesanya, kind of like all these people, right? Yeah, this is one of those situations for me. This is what I feel, and I'm rolling with Ciryl Gane to 10-0, winning the interim heavyweight championship. I cannot speak on what happens after that, but I think he passes this test because you'll notice against Rosenstruck and Volkov, these are dudes who have a lot of output, who did not have a lot of output against Gane. I think Gane freezes their offense, man. I think when you're so well-rounded, you have so many different looks, so many different tools. You're dropping a knee, an elbow, a teep, right hand, jab, southpaw, orthodox. You can hit him from anywhere and everywhere. I think it's going to be tough for Lewis to get a read on that. He knew the entire time against Curtis Blades he was going to shoot in for the takedown, and he knew what side he was going to shoot in because he did that same shot every single time, from the same side. You don't have that familiarity against Ciryl Gane. This dude can do so much. And like I said, man, people don't underestimate his power. He has real crack on his shots. He might be able to hurt Lewis. I mean, I've seen, I think it was Blagoy Ivanov. He hurt Derrick Lewis. Junior Dos Santos hit Lewis with a spinning heel kick and then, TKO'd him, finished him. So, listen, this is going to be a tough-out battle. I'm going Ciryl Gane, Bon Gamin, first French champion in the UFC history. Come on, I got my French roots. I don't got no flags up, but shout out. And with that being said, AJ, that's my pick. I'm going Ciryl Gane, but I'm going decision win. You already know what time it is, AJ. I think that we're getting in your mind, maybe a boring fight. In my mind, a very technical, decision. But listen, we put our picks on the line, and that's what this show is for, to go and see, man, who's going to be right at the end.